Yep, we're going straight back to Sheffield, where Sheffield Wednesday have been sanctioned by the EFL and received a transfer ban. I'd literally only just finished talking about events at Bramall Lane in terms of the managerial situation there. If that feels chaotic, what does Mr. Chansiri say? He says, hold my beer. Hold all my beers. You want chaos? Here comes some more. Now, look, to be fair, we knew this was coming. We didn't know what the sanction was going to be, but this non-payment stuff, which is the hub of the issue here that the EFL is sanctioning Wednesday for, has been common knowledge. And I'm laughing and joking half because of gallows humour, but this is getting a big problem now at Sheffield Wednesday. We've seen the EFL try and deal with Dai Young at Reading and put pressure on him. And it was a long, long, painful road for the Reading fans to get to the point where, in the end, he hands the club over. And how stubborn does Mr. Chansiri want to be here? And how much does he really care about Sheffield Wednesday? Because he can drag them through the mud now if he wants to. And Wednesday fans are going to be saying, Ben, like he hasn't already. Right, I've got the statement up here. The EFL can confirm that Sheffield Wednesday, subject to a 3-window fee restriction after exceeding 30 days of late payments between July 2024 and June 2025. So, first of all, it's basic fiduciary responsibilities in the EFL charter, isn't it? You gotta pay people on time. And, you know, we talk a lot about owners and what type of owners they are and ambition and whatnot. But the least you can do if you're the owner of a football club is if you sign a contract to pay somebody or something or some entity at a certain time is honour that. Don't sign the contract if you can't do it. I know there'll be sort of small business people watching saying, oh, come on, Ben, it's easier said than done and people get themselves into trouble. Come on. This is Mr. Chansiri there and we know what's going on here. Now, this is very interesting. So in accordance with EFL regulations, I'm quoting, the restriction will cover the entirety of this summer's window and 2 full windows thereafter. So let's play a game of worst case scenario. Sorry, Wednesday fans. So, I mean, call it a soft embargo. Use whatever language you're comfortable with. What language do they use? A window fee restriction. But summer 2025 is the first one. So then January 2026 is the second one. So then summer 2026 is the third one. Window closes. You are going to January 2027 if this plays out in the worst way with Sheffield Wednesday under some kind of soft embargo. Now we'll get to this. We hope this is just the EFL putting pressure on and it won't go that far. But it could. And if it does, it is not going to be good for Sheffield Wednesday. The club has notified the EFL of its intention to appeal this decision. This will be heard in due course. And it adds, separately, we knew about this, on 3rd of June, the EFL issued charges against the club and owner. So Chansiri has been charged individually in respect of non-payment of player wages in March 2025 and May 2025. This matter is being considered by an independent disciplinary commission, and because of the ongoing proceedings, the league is unable to comment further at this time. That is not good. Let's quickly switch over. I'll give my reaction, but Wednesday have responded, although it's literally just quoting. I've got the Wednesday website up. I think, yeah, they're literally just quoting the EFL and saying the club are unable to make any further comment other than they acknowledge the findings and they are going to appeal. I mean, I don't know what happens in terms of the appeal. They've been charged and they've been sanctioned, so I'm guessing nothing is going to be happening in terms of transfers and the fee restriction. I'm sure we can find more detail as we go on this in this transfer window. It doesn't say a sanction pending appeal. It says they've been sanctioned and they are banned. So, this is not good, is it? I don't know what grounds they're going to appeal on. I know people will say that the Leicester City Nick DeMarco walking all over the sanction that was handed to Leicester says maybe the appeal will be successful. But all I would say is the EFL on their own have been pretty sturdy for a few years now, going back to sort of Birmingham and Trillian it was 2018-19, wasn't it, when that first one came down. These have normally stuck, haven't they? I know Mel Morris and Steve Gibson had some fun. I think Mel Morris might have had a successful appeal at one point. That just wound the EFL up even further, didn't it? But the Leicester one, by way of comparison, was very much a problem with the fact that the EFL and the Premier League can't get, their ducks in a row and have everything agreed in this kind of unilateral lawmaking. And I don't really see this that way. And it's very cut and dried, isn't it? With late payment, there will be a date it should have been paid. It either got paid or it didn't get paid. And if it didn't get paid, I don't really know what you are appealing about. What does this mean, though? Well, we were worried already about Wednesday this summer. And the previous video we did on Wednesday, I remember one of the comments saying, Ben, don't expect Danny Roll to appear back at Sheffield Wednesday with the idea that he's so pissed off with Mr. Chansiri that he's cleared his desk already, he's packed his bags, he's gone on holiday, and he's waiting for something that will entice him back some good news, and he's not really getting any of it. Now, whether that's the case or not remains to be seen. We'll be talking about training camps soon and pre-season starting, so this could be utter chaos for Wednesday. But the kind of jewel in the crown and the glue holding Sheffield Wednesday together has been Danny Roll the past couple of years. Now, you can argue that he's hardly been backed by Mr. Chansiri, and that it's his excellent coaching abilities rather than anything that happened in the transfer market that was helpful. But they've still used the transfer market. I remember the Cisco window. A lot of players come in latterly in that window, and a few of them have hung around, haven't they? Went young, and French market was fairly big, wasn't it? But if, for example, you've got a manager who's very twitchy, who might just need the final straw to break that particular camel's back and just say, look, I'm done with it. This could be it. What we do know about Danny Roll and Chansiri is this big compensation. One thing Chansiri's done that's clever is the handcuffs there on Roll, whether he'd walk away from the kind of big compensation payment he's owed, or is he going to hold Chansiri's feet to the fire here? I suspect probably the latter. But if you now throw in ownership chaos plus soft embargo, fee restriction, whatever it's called, that Wednesday are not going to be doing business, and it is now known to players and known to agents that now you probably don't want to go to Wednesday in the immediate future. That looks a bit chaotic. That might not be a great place to go. We tend to know how these things play out, don't we? I always say things that relegate clubs in the EFL: owners, chaos, bad luck, and size. I mean, size is never a problem for Sheffield Wednesday, but it doesn't matter how many fans you have through the door or how much history you have. If you can't keep your good manager because the owner's been such a buffoon, and you can't do any recruitment on a side that, in my humble opinion, was already halfway up the table, mainly due to Danny Roll, and needed some TLC in terms of the transfer market, it does feel like the only way is downward now for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, look, if they were to keep Danny Roll, then it's not terminal, is it? You would think he'll have whatever he's given, he'll have them sort of challenging as best they can, because he's got his feet well under the table there. He knows the Championship now after a couple of seasons, and he's a really good manager. Still going to be linked with all and sundry in terms of jobs like he always is. But yeah, it really doesn't have a good feel about this, does it? So we've kind of laid out the worst case scenario is that Mr. Chansiri is going to be very, very stubborn about this, and Danny Roll's going to walk out, and no players are going to be brought in, and it's almost going to be like the club are in administration, but not in administration, if you know what I mean, and nothing really happening, incoming, and people agitating to get out in terms of any saleable assets Wednesday do have on the payroll there. And we know that will lead to a deterioration in league position. And if that deterioration is too much, it will result in Sheffield Wednesday being relegated down to League One. If there are more problems, then you don't know whether the sanctions will get stiffer and points deductions come in. But we don't know that to be the case. The best case scenario, well, you'll tell me the best case scenario is that Mr. Chansiri sells the club and gets out of Dodge. I would imagine if that was the case, that the charges are against him, and if somebody comes in and, you know, the EFL people do all the business plans and whatnot, and everything is looking good going forward, you'd imagine those charges and those sanctions will be lifted if somebody new comes in. I don't know, is there something in the pocket in terms of the appeal, or are they just appealing because everybody always appeals every sanction and that's just what happens? Could be overturned. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure as well what else the EFL can really do here. Mr. Chansiri's in. He's been in a while. He was spending money hand over fist in the early days, so it's very easy to be wise after the event. You can't really say in terms of the EFL, oh, they should have known that this guy was going to spend tons of money, miss out in the playoff final, and then it was all going to go south for years and years afterwards, and now late payments and points deductions and relegations and weird press conferences sitting next to Cisco and all of this just ridiculous buffoonery that's happened under Chan. So it's very easy to be wise after the event about that. But it just needs sorting now, doesn't it? And it's combustible, isn't it? And in the end, I think we've got a good solution at Reading where it feels like there are parallels you can draw, and you have to put pressure on, and you have to put pressure on as much as you can, but not too much, because nobody, even Sheffield United fans and rivals of Wednesday, if you care about football and the wider community, you don't want too much pressure to go on this guy and him to take the nuclear option, dig his heels in and run the thing into the ground, or worse still. And it feels like that is where we are now. I've said enough. I've talked about, you could probably make an omnibus now of me talking about Chansiri and Wednesday over the years, and it is literally about 4 or 5 hours long now with all of this crap that we've had to discuss. And I have sympathy for the Wednesday fans. You know, it's just a joke at this point. It's not a very funny joke, but a joke nonetheless. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and more pertinently, how can we get out of this situation? What can the EFL do to just ease Mr. Chansiri out of the picture? He's not going to change his ways at this point, is he? And all of a sudden become a good owner. We need sounds like an American politics thing here, a peaceful transition of power to a new owner at Sheffield Wednesday, really, don't we? How can this happen? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments, and have a little click up there. I mentioned at the top of the video, it's all been Sheffield football the past couple of days. Here is my take on what's going on across the city, where Ruben Sellers is set to replace Chris Wilder as manager. Would that be an upgrade? Sheffield Wednesday fans, you're still thinking about the bad news, aren't you? As the club is sanctioned for 3 transfer windows.